Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Rebel, and as always, I've got to give my parental advisory, especially today because I'll be doing a lot of cussing, I'm sure. I tend to cuss like a sailor, and I could also talk like a pervert, so if you ain't into that, exit stage left. You ain't gonna hurt my feelings though, because I know I ain't everybody's cup of tea. So welcome to my kitchen, my very messy kitchen, but this is a lived-in kitchen, so it's messy. But I know you're going, where's the retro? You're into retro. What the hell? You have modern appliances. Yes, I do. It's hard to find like retro appliances that are affordable and that work. So I gotta stick with these two jewels because I gotta have something, right? So, but I thought I would start doing new episodes. Do we want to call it episodes? Yeah, we'll call it episodes on my channel. I have a big collection of Jello molds, which are these. I freaking love them. They're super cheap. You can find them everywhere. And I just like the aesthetics of them. So if you follow like mid-century and all that stuff, you know it was very popular after World War II, which was going into the 50s, for people to have like cocktail parties and just parties in general and just have get-togethers. And so they were trying to do a lot of food that was easy to make and looked awesome on the table. So that's where the Jello molds really came shining, was like in the 50s. And it kind of worked its way 50s, 60s, into 70s, and it started dying off then, slowly into the 80s. Jello molds are just basically these brass molds, and they use always Jello, and they put whatever they can together with these two, and they make Jello molds. Also, Jello back in the 40s and I believe the 30s, I haven't fully like researched, so I should have researched a little bit, but I remember my grandmother saying that they used Jello back in the day to preserve food, like non-flavored gelatin. They used it to preserve food, so I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, so I thought we would have fun, and we'll live in my fantasy world of me being in the 50s, like I wish I was. And we are going to make a Jello fruit salad. There wasn't quite a name for it. I found a recipe. It was online. It was an actual card from like the Jello, like on the back of the box kind of thing. And it was kind of hard to read what it was exactly. But I think I pretty much got everything down that I'm going to need. So, and I think I got the measurements as well. So we're going to hope that this turns out okay. And yeah, let's just go ahead and jump into this. I'm going to have a camera down here so you can kind of see what is going on, along with the camera back there. So let's go ahead and we'll dive into this fruit salad Jello mold. Okay, so I've got a bowl here. This is my mixing bowl. We're going to use my stand mixer for this part. I'm going to take this cream cheese here, and everything I'm using is cheap. This is not name brand stuff, so you're probably going, who the hell is that? Not using name brand. So we're going to take, and I pre-softened this cream cheese by leaving it out in the fridge, so that way it wouldn't be so hard for my stand mixer to beat its way through it, basically. I also got water back here coming to a boil. So here comes the cream cheese. I am not used to having two cameras. My buddy camera right here. My camera buddy. There we go, my buddy camera. Dumbass. My camera buddy is right there. Hi, camera. And then I have y'all over here. So I'm going to be jumping back and forth to this shot to that shot, so you can see kind of what's going on. But we're going to take our lime Jello, once again, another cheap ass brand because we're cheap around here. So I'm going to take one box of this. I'm going to put it in with the cream cheese. And I'm doing the exact same recipe on the box, which is 1 cup hot water, 1 cup of cold water, but instead I'm doing 2 cups of hot water. So, because this will be pretty cool. And what's going to happen is we are going to put the boiling water in this mixture here once I get it whipped up. So, stay tuned. We'll move over to my stand mixer. We'll get this whipped. Then we'll be right back over here. Okay, so I apologize. I don't have the best lighting over here, but here we go. Well, if I get it in the hole. I hate it when I can't get things in the hole. Anyways, here we go. So I'm going to put this started on low. This is going to take a little bit because this cream cheese was not quite at room temperature yet, so it was still a little solid. But it's going to whip out like a mousse consistency. Okay, I'm going to get my spatula. We're going to scrape down the sides a bit, and I did not lock that. I should have locked it, and I didn't lock it. I could definitely smell the lime jello. I can get it off of my spatula. Okay. So I'm going to let that beat up just for probably about a minute, just to make sure everything is incorporated and that cream cheese has softened down some. Okay, I think that is good enough. So we are going to get this and move it back over to our table, and I'll see you in a few seconds. Okay, so now that we got this mixture mixed up, we are ready now to add the boiling water. So it is pretty much at a boil now. So this is the part I was kind of worried about. I'm like, boiling water into cream cheese, but that is what the recipe looked like. So hopefully that don't fog up my camera. So here comes the boiling water. I think it did fog up my camera. So, go figure. So now we're going to gently mix this, and I don't want to burn myself, so... I can't really see what I'm doing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my whisk to make sure I get everything incorporated, all the cream cheese and the Jello together. Okay, it's already starting to thicken up surprisingly, as warm as it is. So this is going to go, and it's going to sit in the fridge for probably about an hour. We need it to thicken up just a bit, not completely thickened, so we can add the rest of our ingredients that we need in this. So I'm going to throw this in the fridge, let it firm up, then we're going to come back, we're going to do the rest. So here's a fun fact about the Jello molds. In the early 1950s, I know it's going to be hard to believe, but refrigerators were kind of rare in every household. They were very expensive. So in order for you to have Jello molds, you have to have refrigeration in order to set it. So the Jello mold became kind of a status symbol, because that meant that you were a rich enough family to own a refrigerator. So that is a fun fact about the Jello mold. Okay, so it's been about an hour and a half, and I'm kind of running out of time, so I want to speed this up. It should set for about 2 hours, and I put it in the freezer. Try to help speed up the time in this, and also I added a few ice cubes to also help. Let's see, okay. So it's still kind of a runny consistency, but it's starting to get there. So what's really going to happen is the fruit is not going to be suspended in the Jello. It's going to fall to the top part of the Jello. That's what's going to happen. That's why you want it to set, because you want the fruit to be suspended inside of the Jello. Like I said, I don't have a lot of time left to really be doing this, so we're just going to go ahead and just jump on to the next steps. So I have to get my mayo out. And I know this is a very odd thing, but in the 50s and 60s and 70s, everything had mayo in these Jello molds. Everything. It didn't matter if it was savory, sweet, it had Jello. So we are going to be adding a cup of just regular mayonnaise into the Jello. And I kind of think it's going to be like a yogurt flavor in a way, if you think about it, because yogurt's really tangy, kind of vinegary. That's the same thing mayo is. So I think it's going to cut down on the richness and the sweetness of everything together. I could be wrong, but that's what I kind of feel like it's going to do. So I don't know how well this is going to incorporate into the Jello. What I could do is get my whisk and see if that'll help, because it's not really going to break down. Like I said, the Jello is getting thicker, but it really should be a lot thicker than this before you go adding your fruit and your nuts and stuff to it. There we go. That looks much better. So now the next step will be to add my fruit. And I have 1 can of this is fruit cocktail. I've been draining it in a strainer because you want it to be really dry. So there's your fruit cocktail. It's going to go in. Give that a mix. And like I said, with this not being stiff enough, the fruit is all going to fall to the bottom of this Jello mold. So it's not going to probably look exactly like it would have had back in the day. But I'm on a time crunch right now. So and this is about a cup of walnuts. You can use any kind of nut. I believe the recipe had pecans, but I don't have pecans, but I did have these walnuts. So I'm going to put the walnuts in. And really with these fruit Jello molds, the possibilities were endless as to what flavors you could do, what fruits you could put in. It was just, I've seen many of them. Some with peaches and Jello strawberry, or strawberry Jello, sorry. And of course the mayo. The mayo's like Jello, mayo, cream cheese was like the 3 main ingredients you had to have. But you could just mix up everything else, like the fruits, the nuts, the flavors of the Jello. So now that we got that all mixed together, this is not all going to fit in this Jello mold. This is a smaller Jello mold. I wanted it to be smaller so it would hurry up and set faster. I have a really large one up here, but I didn't want to pull that one out. So I'm just going to stick with these smaller Jello molds. But what I'll do is I'll just pour this rest of it in another bowl. So, no prep work from what I could find is needed for these molds. Like, you don't have to spray them with Pam or anything. I don't even know if they even had Pam back in the day. So they just poured them in exactly like this into a clean mold, and that's the way it went. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'll fill it up to that much. Of course, I made a little mess. I don't know if you could see. I'm just going to clean up that mess. So we have a perfect Jello mold. And like I said, unfortunately, this is not set enough, so all the fruit is going to fall to the very bottom. So when we go to flip it, all the fruit is going to be on the top. But that is it. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw it in the fridge. This is probably going to have to set for probably 2 hours. And then I'll come back and we'll try to unmold this baby, which that should be fun. Because I've never unmolded a Jello mold. And with this not having nothing preventing it from sticking, I don't know what it's going to do. So stay tuned. We're going to throw this in the fridge and we'll be back in 2 hours to unmold it and see what we got. Okay, so now I think that the Jello mold is finally set. So I'm going to pull it out of the fridge. And we're going to hope to God that this is going to work. So it's completely set. And also I wanted to show you that if you don't have, you know, these Jello molds, because not everybody collects and has these copper molds, just put it in Tupperware. I put the rest of it in a Tupperware. And it'll work just fine. It'll taste the same as being in this thing. So, just a little advice. So, I hope that's in the focus so you can see it. Let me see. Alright, there it is. I can't move my bowl too much. I have a bowl of hot water right here. And I have the Jello mold. So, the first thing in the steps to try to get these freed is to take a knife and run around the edges of it. I'm not going to take a real knife because I don't want to scratch up my Jello mold. So I'm just taking this plastic knife here. And I'm just going to scrape down the sides to try to free this mold. And when I noticed that this is not a very firm Jello, but it's set for 2 hours now. So it's got to be ready. It's been long enough, but I think with the cream cheese and the mayo and stuff, it just won't be as firm of a Jello as I'm used to. So we're going to hope that this comes out okay. So I got a plate here. So now I'm going to set this Jello mold inside of the hot water. That will help to loosen it up from the mold. It still feels kind of soupy, so I'm worried that this is going to be more of a soup than an actual mold. Okay. Put the plate. I think it came out. I think it came out. It came out, but it's all crooked. But it came out, so yay! So I don't know if you could see it on the camera. There we go. Let me move this bucket of water out of the way. So there is. It's not completely set up. It is, like I said, it is runny. So it may need longer time than what I thought it would originally, because normal Jello does not need that much, because I'm losing some of the indentations of the Jello mold. But what can you do, right? So I forgot a fork. So I'm going to, because I don't want to wash dishes. I've already washed enough dishes today. I'm going to use a plastic fork. So I'm going to give this a try and see if it's any good. So like I said, I've never had one of these, especially with the mayo. Like I said, it hasn't completely set up, so that was my fault, but I'm on a time crunch here, so. That's really odd. It's not bad, but it's not what I expected. It's the tanginess of the mayo that I'm tasting, and it's odd. That piece was good. It had a peach in it. So, anyways, like I said, it's falling apart really quick. I might have left it in the mold or in the hot water too long too. I think you're only supposed to leave them in there a few seconds and pull them out too. So, like I said, for me to completely not have really seen this recipe, I think it turned out okay. So anyways, we'll turn that one off. We don't really need it. I hope you enjoyed my Rebels, what are we going to call this? I'm still clueless as to what I'm going to call this. I guess we call it retro recipes. This is a series of Jello molds. I've got many other recipes that I have been finding online that has to do with Jello molds. I've got more sweet Jello molds. I got savory Jello molds coming up, so just stay tuned for that. And if you like these retro recipe cooking segment things, whatever you want to call it, leave me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know you still want to see these retro recipes and me trying to recreate them in my kitchen. So anyways, thank you for watching me and thank you for subscribing to me. And I would encourage you that if you haven't subscribed to me, you need to do that, because I just do all kinds of things here on this channel. I am a variety show. You know, the old-fashioned 70s variety shows. This is it. This is me. I am the variety show here. So anyways, I hope you have a great week, and I will see you really soon. Love y'all. Bye. Now I'm going to go eat.